Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible. So welcome to the first live session of Learning and Development. This has been a great journey so far. So it has been introduced as a new course altogether in this particular session. So we see a great number of registrations, both in terms of enrollment as well as for the examination. So that is a positive sign. With respect to learning and development, you would have already come across 2 or 3 modules right now because some weeks have already passed. So that will give you a certain bit of introductory insights into the core elements of learning and development. That said, a lot of aspects are yet to come your way. Specifically, we look into the business landscape, we look into the learning and development in the organization, what is a learning organization, all those typical aspects will come soon to you in the subsequent modules. So that said, whatever is being covered, please go through that systematically so that you get to cover those in a well systematic way. So that is what I would actually try to summarize here. Yes, so if there is any questions, I can take that, or else I'll walk through what all are coming your way. I can see some of you. Any questions? So I hope the learning experience has been fruitful till now, especially with respect to the modules which we have covered. I'll walk you through the module, right? And meanwhile, whatever are the questions coming up, we'll take that. That would be the essential agenda for today. And at any point in time, if you feel any doubt, any disconnect, please do ask. So we started with learning and development. We tried to introduce the learning and development scenario altogether. We tried to give you some basic understanding of why we need learning, why learning is essential, be it in an organization, be it in any other avenue that you are. So I tried to generalize this with the initial module where I tried to give you a critical understanding by defining learning and development per se. So if you've gone through especially lecture 3 of the first module, it looks into the definition part of learning and development. I tried to synthesize all the possible definitions. So as suggested in the introductory video, most of our sessions are heavily backed by empirical research. So you would see that I have referred some of the papers. I've already given the reference of those in the class itself. And I would also recommend you to learn so that you get a deeper understanding of what you want to learn further. So that is one typical aspect. So I will start one particular question that has come my way. That is how to increase learning and development knowledge. So when you look into the theory part, now some of those would have come across in the first and the second module, but subsequently you will see more such additions. You look into mastering the fundamentals, you look into the theory design model, the Addy's model, the Bloom's model, evaluation, the framework. That could be one way which gives you a theoretical input on, moving systematically with respect to learning and development. That said, on a personal front, it is always advised that you stay updated, be it the journals, the articles that come across your domain, be it something that is interesting to you. I'm not talking here specifically with respect to the newspaper content or the media content. I'm specifically mentioning with respect to what is the academic research that is happening. So let's say you have some doubt, you can always contact any of your friends in any of these academic institutions. They will give you an access to the most relevant research that is happening with respect to the domain that you are concerned. So be it, let's say, let me take an example. You are concerned with the work-life balance, or you are concerned with attrition. You're concerned with something which is, on a day-to-day basis is affecting your well-being in the organization, or it could be your emotional intelligence. It could be your personality. It could be a leadership skills. Whatever be the point, I would ask you to, refer the empirical research that's happening so that you get an insight into what specifically we are dealing with in today's world. So that is something which I would definitely say on a personal front. And if you are in an organization, hands-on experience is the best thing. There is nothing bigger than learning by doing it. That is typically one simple aspect that you have to live by. Whatever be the barriers, whatever be the problems that you face, there is no better answer to anything than getting hands-on experience. So whenever you get some opportunity to get a hold of something, let's say maybe it's a working of a machinery, maybe it's a working of a software, or developing a critical program, whatever be the task be, try to put your hands on and gain those experience in a real-time scenario. That would be another aspect. Always try to expand your tech and behavioral skills. It will come handy, because going from today, if you look into the future, most of the changes are happening with respect to either tech or behavioral aspect. So try to boost your learning and development, try to converge most of the polishing or fine tuning with respect to your tech learning or the behavioral aspect. So that is one thing I would try to underscore while answering that particular question. So there could be things like, let's say we have discussed in the latter modules, like AI in learning, or let's say gamification. All those aspects are typically giving you some insights into the critical content that is very much relevant in today's date vis-a-vis learning. Now it's your duty to dig deeper into it, learn more about it, understand more about it. That will set the tone of what you want to do further. So this is one answer I wanted to give with respect to the question. Another question was how to implement, I'm not taking the name, how to implement the learning and development. So this is with respect to an organization. So with respect to any organization, I can definitely answer. You would have seen that in the module 3, module 4 will come across training need analysis. We illustrate that more deeply in module 7 and module 8 also. So conduct the training need analysis specifically. What is your unit of analysis? That you should be very critical about. Try in a small unit, try to do a pilot, try to understand what are the changes that are happening with respect to a small unit, and try to enlarge or try to magnify from there, or try to scale up from there. So that is what a good point of consideration would be when you're looking into the implementation of learning and development. So once you have done the TNA, training need analysis, design simple practical training which can go in for a smaller unit. So once that is done, you will have a clear idea that whatever you have done, is it happening to the likes of you, or let's say something that is becoming more productive. If it is going the other way. Okay, I'll come to your question. So will it be in such a way that it is adding value to you, or are you gaining something from the training program? Then you'll definitely go ahead with a pilot for a basic or a small unit. Then you try to roll out gradually and interpret what is happening in a daily work scenario. So whatever changes or whatever upgrades that you have got through the learning process, whatever is happening with respect to a daily work scenario or your traditional work scenario. And finally, monitor, measure, and reward if necessary. So I will definitely talk about the specific aspect of SMART goals. Anything which is not measurable cannot be improved. So please do have a clear understanding of where your learning is right now. Based on that understanding, you can definitely pitch it up or notch it up further, and you can gain further momentum with respect to that. So this is specifically with respect to what two questions I had. So I think I have answered those two questions. Couple of you have also asked me to summarize on the learning part, which I'll do soon. Um, Could you provide a quick recap on switch modeling? Okay. So with respect to your request, I'll try to answer it from a learning and development scenario. But more than that, specifically be punctual with respect to your okay, I think there is some communication difference because system design through Verilog, that's coming in this one. So those questions might create a hindrance. So this is, I'll just check up with this. Sorry for the trouble. There was some, miscommunication. Actually, there's a couple of live sessions going on, so some other questions were coming in. So I was. Am I audible now? Okay. Yes. So we looked into learning and development. We tried to define it. We tried to understand the emerging developments that are happening in the scenario. I hope you would have gone through the first module and you would have got a clarity regarding that. In the second module, we started more deeply appreciating the learning and development. If you have seen the gradation of how I've designed the topic, in the second module onwards, it's more of the core learning that is starting in with respect to the learning and development, where we try to look into the personal performance aspect. We also looked into the context. So anything that is not connected with the context, you may find that learning may not be effective. If you look into any particular aspect, let's say many questions are coming up with respect to in some of the emails, what I'm getting, asking how to have a learning aspect or learning mindset. So I will definitely say you cultivate a growth mindset. The purpose of existence is learning, and the purpose is to expand your awareness. Let's say you are working on a basis of my industry experience, I'll tell you are working on a power sector, you are working on a thermal power plant or any particular device in that. Try to expand your awareness not only in that, but also in the allied, devices or instruments or machines. So let's say you're working in the BTG area, try to expand your awareness about the UP areas also. So this is something which, which will give you a holistic understanding of where exactly you are standing. Let's say you are working in a particular tech domain, try to expand your awareness in some other domain also. So expanding the awareness is the basic tenet of learning, be it in organization, be it in community, be it in the society or home, wherever you are. This is what is relevant, or this is what is critical. So I just wanted to have a particular starting point with respect to that. And then if you look into the second module, so just a doubt, Seshu Chira, you are sitting in office. So I can see with smoke or Mr. Folk coming in front of you. Is
Yeah, missed.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I was a bit baffled to see what was
You were a
happening.
bit worried.
Yeah, whether agarbatti or initial thought was that you had lighted an agarbatti or something, but then I understood it's a mist or something. Okay. You are in a very cool environment. I can understand that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So third module, we looked more into the business environment, the business landscape altogether. We saw that, how human resource management as a strategy can enhance the learning process, right? We looked into different concepts and models. Most of the critical models came in module 3, I think. Yeah, module 3, lecture 2 and lecture 3, which looked into the different models. So we saw how we can actually enhance the learning through these various conceptual frameworks. So please do understand when I'm talking about something which is a conceptual framework, please do understand that it has been obtained by some sort of research, at least qualitative research, if not empirical quantitative research, right? So all these aspects, all these concepts and models, to be precise, were discussed in the third module. I hope you would have gone through that. I don't know till what point you would have, individually it's an asynchronous learning, so we cannot tell exactly where you are at this point in time. But holistically, I feel that at least 2 weeks you would have covered. That's why I kept my live session right now. The international human resource development was taken up as the next aspect, and we looked into the different stakeholders, all the possible stakeholders that a learning and development scenario will have. Let's say in an organization, you may have somebody, as distinct as your supplier, or maybe you're, as close as your colleague or co-worker, or maybe, as affectionate as your boss. So all these aspects, all these people, all these entities, let me put it like this, are definitely the stakeholders. So when you are looking into learning and development, you'll definitely look into the stakeholder aspect. That is what we completed. If you remember, if we have done it in the module 3. From module 4, which will come to you, we have looked into what specifically an organization mission is, what are the values of an organization. Typically, we catered or we centered our discussion on these 3 pillars, mission, vision, and values specifically. Then we looked into the capabilities, organization capabilities, not only individual capabilities. So when we talk about, let's say, individual dynamics, it's more about your personality, more about your trait, more about your motivation. But when you look into organizational capabilities, it is more of making it, synchronous with your own objectives. Let me take an example to clarify this. The moment, let's say, you have, and this is coming out of the fact that my research area has been knowledge management for some time. So if you are, sharing particular knowledge, let's say somebody who has been in the organization for 15, 20, 30 years, he moves out of the organization. There is suddenly a vacuum that is created. But when you are trying to, bring somebody new, he or she has to start from the scratch, and that is very difficult for him or her. But let us assume that if there is a knowledge sharing portal, or there is a clear platform where proper knowledge sharing is existing, then you might have the knowledge repository, which is translated as the institutional memory or the organizational memory. So this is where something as tricky as organizational capability becomes relevant. So it's not about the individual aspects we discussed in this particular module 4. We looked into learning organization. We looked into, if I can see, high performance organization, challenges with respect to the learning and development initiative. So the module 4 was more of a macro level discussion that centered around organization capabilities, learning organization, what can be done with respect to the vision, mission, values, etc. So that was module 4 for you. When you look into module 5, it is more about the learning and development interaction, learning and development discussions, and we tried to look into the individual factors, individual differences. I repeat, it takes all types of people to make this world. So individual differences is critical, and how learning is being affected. Let's say how I learn or how I'm motivated to, learn or enter into a learning phase might be different from my colleague. This is typically the understanding that we are having when we venture into the individual aspects or individual differences in learning. And then we looked into diagnosing the learning and development needs, basically the training need analysis. All these aspects came into picture at this point in time, especially module 4 and module 5. Module 5 was more about the practitioner's perspective, where we tried to conclude it from the how effective learning and development is in various organizations. So we have seen, we have taken different case studies, we have looked into different aspects, typically Google, Amazon, how they actually have changed or improved with the help of learning and development and becoming a learning organization as a result. Module 6 is all about the learning and development interventions. What as an organization and how as an organization can you improve the facilities or the avenues for learning and development. So typically we have looked into the module 6 from that angle. I've also tried to touch the knowledge management angle in module 6, where we try to look into the components of knowledge management. We try to look into knowledge transfer, knowledge management strategies. I've touched upon my favorite topic of knowledge hiding a little bit here, knowledge sharing, how knowledge management is essential for an organization. So all these aspects typically concluded almost a half of the entire course syllabus. From module 7, I tried to look into the psychological aspect. So I started with psychological contract, what typically, is existing between you and your employer. Many a time we see that, there is a clear-cut offer letter that so-and-so is appointed for so-and-so salary, and this is the job description, this is what you have to do, this is what is expected, this is the chain of command, this is what are the different policies associated, be it the leave policy, be it the work policy. So all these things are explicitly mentioned. That's it. The moment you enter into an organization, there are certain things which are not explicitly mentioned. It might be tacit, and this is between you and your employer. You'll see that if I perform this, I may get a recognition. If I perform this particular task, I may be rewarded, or I may get promoted, or this is a humongous task for a demand for the organization. So there is a possibility that I may get some positive aspects or some recognition or reward out of it. This is mostly an implied contract, and this is typically what I say as a psychological contract. So this is what we tried to underscore in module 7, where we looked into the theory of psychological contracting, and we also tried to map the external factors, messages, and the social cues. So the entire group development process got a typical understanding in the module 7. In module 8, we tried to introduce you to the theory of learning, especially the need identification, and we tried to illustrate on the most used method or pedagogy, which is the case study method. We tried to make the case, we tried to look into the sourcing intervention specifically, and we also looked into the diagnostic questionnaires typically. When we move to the module 9, it is all about the fagent, start of the fagent. So we looked into the planning and action aspect. We looked into the roles and responsibilities of learning and development. So what exactly learning and development does to individual per se and the organization. So we try to have a comparative analysis between individual units, how they are contributing as a sum, and organization as a single entity, how it is gaining out of the learning and development initiative. So this is one simple aspect which we try to enhance. So to all the listeners in between, if you have any questions, please do shoot. I'm continuing my discussion, thinking that there are no more questions. So if you have any questions or if you have any doubts in between our discussion, please do feel free to stop me. So when you are looking into the module 9, it looked into the blended learning approach, the typical improvements in the learning aspects. We looked into some of the sample possible interventions what the organizations can do. So it started from not only the hybrid learning, but also with respect to the different modes and methodologies of learning that the organization in the present day are using. So these are some of the aspects which we tend to discuss in module 9. Module 10, we looked into the technology, the technological advances for learning intervention. So we had a detailed analysis that will come to you. We looked into the new skills that are critical, the behavioral expectations or the behavioral skills that are needed in the present day organization. We looked into the typical questionnaire pattern, how we are actually developing the questionnaire, the diagnostic aspects of those questionnaires. All these typical aspects were looked into it. And then in module 11, we look into evaluation part. How we can actually see, let's say till now, we have tried to understand what learning and development is, what are the barriers that are actually stopping the learning and development from happening in an organization or at an individual level also. Then we tried to understand how we can mitigate those barriers. Then we looked into the benefits of the learning and development. Having said that, at the 11th and the 12th module, we look into the evaluation pattern. How effectively we can say that this learning that an individual has obtained or a team has undergone is effective enough. So evaluating learning and development, we have dealt that in 2 lectures, especially module 11, lecture 1, lecture 2, where we also tried to discuss some of the models of evaluation and the evaluation of coaching, the utility of learning and development intervention. So whether we are actually bringing in a certain level of intervention or some possible learning techniques or some fine tuning with respect to the learning process, is it going to help the outcome? This has to be evaluated to further understand that whether we should actually go with it. This is where we tend to conclude and we go to the final module where we look into the future. We have seen over the 11 modules what learning and development is existing and or happening in today's present day world. And then from there, if you look into the first lecture of the 12th module, what will come to you is the ongoing trends and the future trends. So this is where we make some close predictions that may happen in the near future. We look into the impact of technology in learning and development. We looked at over 2 different lecture modules. Again, please do understand when I'm saying it's not only focused on AI. We have a different course altogether, which we have floated AI in HRM with respect to learning. There's a module altogether, but here we are looking into the holistic aspects of technology. So we look into that in 2 different lectures, that is technology learning and development 1 and technology learning and development 2, which is part of the 12th module or the final module. Then we try to conclude, we try to have a session on the tools and techniques for L&D. So many a time practitioners, many a time these management development programs or the industry personnel, they ask and they are keen on learning the tools and techniques for L&D. So they are okay, you can leave the theory part, but we want to learn the tools and techniques for L&D. So I try to include a bit of that, specifically dedicating one particular lecture session for only tools and techniques, and that will come as part of the 4th lecture of the 12th module. And then finally, we conclude by looking into L&D's impact on organizational performance or organizational results. So if you see the entire journey of learning and development, from understanding what is learning and development, from acknowledging the need for learning and development, to underscoring the essential barriers that are there and understanding how to mitigate them, we are actually traveling to the fag end with understanding of L&D's impact on organizational result. So this has been a well thought of, well planned syllabus, and that is what I'm trying to present to you. you would have at least gone through 2 modules, I believe so. And your assignments are also in full swing. So try to make use of the opportunity, try to submit your assignments well in deadline, because many a time I've seen requests coming in that, no, I could not honor the deadline. Can you extend it? It's not in our hand, and I will not entertain that also. So that is why, see, there are 2 aspects. One, people should not miss out on assignments. So these are some of the common questions where I'm getting. So I'm answering it suo moto, because without any hitch, I can say that these questions will be running in your mind. So please do attempt all the assignments, because they have a certain component towards the end mark. Now, by any problem or issue or emergency, if you miss out on a couple of assignments, that's okay. Still, you have some of the assignments, a portion of that only will be taken to your marks. Finally, you have the interim exam. So it's a well distributed evaluation mechanism. So please be aware of that and make use of the opportunity that is given to you. So please do not worry. Many a time I get many mails that, I missed out on this particular assignment. Can you restart it? Which is not particularly possible for me. So please do not come up with those excuses. Try to do the assignments in a systematic way, because they have a certain component towards the end final evaluation. There's no doubt about it. But having said that, your focus in the learning and development course should be learning and not marks. So this is typically where I'll say that learning and development is also vital. So at this point, if you have any questions, we can definitely take it up. So since I can see a couple of faces, Seshu, Chira, I'll start with you. How is the class going on? Or do you have any concerns or anything or any suggestions or any compliments? Anything, if you have some particular idea to share, which can be included maybe in because almost the recording is complete. So maybe in the coming up live sessions, we can do that. Yeah. Or what do you generally feel about the session?
First thing, I'm very happy to attend the session live and to meet you directly. Only I was just looking at the videos. Today only I just opened the week 4. So I think there's a lot of information that is being dispensed in the modules. Other courses also I'm doing simultaneously, where there is a limited content. But from your end, I think you are doing a lot of effort. That we are getting a lot of information. And I feel personally, if the case studies are broken down into small chunks, instead of in one go, case study you have given for us, like from 100 to 4,000 staff, how he has grown, or Google's case study where the 20% of time is given. Any one particular project, if you can take and explain to us with the different stages, how they are happening. So that for us, for anybody who is getting into that new field of L&D, who want to get into that jobs or roles, don't understand exactly that specific design of that particular thing, where the design comes, where the delegation part comes, where they have to check with the people. Maybe I feel like that, but overall it's going very well.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really amazing, sir. I'm feeling very enjoyed while going through the session. It's really fantastic journey. I hope I'll get very good grade, because I'm very confident on that. But not about the marks, but the knowledge is really awesome. Thank you.
Happy to hear that, Seshu. Chira, if that's your name, no? I suppose what I can read from your screen.
Correct.
Yeah, so okay, all right. So happy to see that. Yes, again, why we have condensed so many cases, and we are mentioning it in a condensed form. You will understand that we are also restricted by the time limit, and the time paucity is a serious concern. But to honor your request, I'll try to include, always I keep some buffer classes in the module 12. So in the module 12, some of the sessions I'll try to include those cases in a very integrated form, so that you get to see what are the different increases, or let's say improvements that are happening with respect to an organization. I'll try to do that, but I'm very happy to see that it's going well. Please try to maintain that momentum. So in between, what happens, like let's say 4, 5, 6 modules, you have done, then maybe because of some, work commitments or some other things, you might, I've seen this as a generic trend, but please stick on to your, learning phase. This will just start and end just like that, couple of months on, and it will be over. So whenever you're doing it, do it sincerely. So that's why I appreciate your commitment to that, and happy to learn about your improvement or your journey in learning and development. So anybody else? Saeed Mohammed Haider, I can see your video is also open. So if you have any doubts, or if you want to share something, or if you want to ask something, yeah.
Actually, I'm privileged to be a student of this course, and the way you start the PPT with a quotation that sets the ball rolling, and that's very sparking. That gives the idea. It's very beautiful aspect, unique and innovative. We have been through schools, colleges, universities, at workplace, and this was out of the box something that you start something with a spark, and then it gives you horizon, and it gives you direction. That is one good feedback. And regarding references and case studies, I also feel that since this is a postgraduate course, we should be more into studying the cases, and the access of cases is the availability of the cases with you as a faculty member, with you as a full-time into academics is more, rather than us searching for the same on Google or AI platforms. So if you are selecting any case studies online with reference to L&D or any HR related course, so our pick may not be the right choice to study. But if we get curated list of cases, for example, that you go through so and so case study in detail, like they do in MBA classes, they give a case study and they ask you to solve the case. It can be given as assignment. It can be given in the forum. It can be given in live classes, also live sessions. Also, you start the class with case study, and we all solve and present our perspective one-to-one.
Correct. So, yes. Anything else?
The last point. I'm working in an Indian MNC. It is a large organization. Not to disclose the name here, but what I have understood is we are doing, for example, I'm not directly into HR, but the HR department conducts a number of trainings. Our organization hugely invests in learning and development. But I wonder, in one of the points in, I think, unit module 2, you said that effectiveness of training can be traced to ROI. So I was wondering how that is possible in practical sense, to understand that ROI is a factor of L&D. ROI could be a factor of, for example, any other innovation in manufacturing process, in construction process, or it's coming from the factory. How do we exactly assess, not in layman terms, but very objectively, how can we assess that the productivity that the organization is getting, not of face value or market value or brand building, directly ROI? How can we link ROI to be a factor of, to be a result of L&D program of any organization?
Okay, so this, thank you first for all your wonderful compliments, and I really appreciate even during the, with the work commitments, you are following the classes and you are doing well. So with respect to, the thought process regarding first question, I think the case study part, which all cases we generally, refer to in learning and development, I try to include that in the learning content. So we see that there are a lot of, typical case studies that are being discussed in those classes. I try to include that, incorporate that. But the way I actually present here is different, because it's not an interactive class. We are not in a open class. Even online, if we were in a live session, we can always have a discussion. So that's what I'm coming to your point. So in a recorded session, we have our limitation, but I'm trying to present it as a case so that you know the background. Once you have the background, then you get to have analysis, but maybe how I'll suggest is you can pause that particular video, then you can think of what are the possible ways or what are the possible, let's say, if it is to find out some antecedents towards a particular problem or some consequence of a particular problem, then you can pause the video and you can look into the different possibilities that come in. That could be one way. But again, the mode of the session is what prevents us from actual live engagement. And when it comes to live session, the typical issue here is that I can see a couple of you in the Teams platform, but it goes live streaming to a larger population which is there in the YouTube. So many a time what happens is if I try to solve a particular case in a live session, it will be redundant. It will be good for some few of them, but it will be redundant to a larger public. So what I can do it as a solution towards that is give you some more curated cases, especially during the 11th and 12th module. You will come across some of the typical cases that we generally see as faculty members or take up in our classes. So I have tried to include that specifically in module 12 and the end part of module 11 that is included there. That is one thing. Second, with respect to the concept of ROI and the learning effectiveness, that thought itself has come from some of the empirical research papers. I'll try to share with the class how typically, because there's a lot of empirical research that has happened with respect to understanding that your ROI can actually have a direct link or correlation with respect to the training effectiveness or learning effectiveness. So when you're looking into the, we generally use this concept of the greater good in business ethics. So greater good is, let's say, if as an organization, let me take a very crude example, 10 people are there in this room and I am going to send only 2 of you, let's say 2 of you to a learning process. That might not have a larger impact because yes, at the individual level, you might have, maybe you have attained or got some very good idea. You have got some excellent training and you tend to come here and disseminate that particular knowledge. That's also fine. But having said that, how effectively the 10 people, I'm just taking this as a hypothetical number, it should be a very large number, how effectively, the hundreds or the thousands of the people who are not getting this opportunity, they are getting benefited. That is actually the measure of effectiveness of training. So when I'm looking into the ROI part, I should actually look into the fact that, let's say, I am let me consider myself as a key person in the L&D vertical. So if I am being given a task to send, let's say, 1,000 people on I will not call mediocre training, but I'll call a training which will have a certain level of impact, and some 10 people or 12 people or 20 people in a very excellent mode of training or learning process, I will always prefer the larger good. So return on investment for me should be greater towards the learning objective parameter. So when I should, when I'm saying that this L&D activity was fruitful, I'm actually not looking into the chosen few. I'm actually looking into the larger set of people who have actually benefited it. Recently, there was a learning and development program. I will not again name the organization, but I'm a consultant there. So we did a L&D pinning ceremony, and there was a L&D training program conducted in Guwahati only. So with respect to that, I can see that this idea of return on investment, specifically looking into the training or the learning and development outcome, was hugely debated. And this is where I started digging into some of the empirical research that has happened, and it has categorically shown that the effectiveness of the training or the learning activity is only as good as the ROI part. So if I am looking into the larger good or the greater good for the larger set of people, then I will always be interested in doing that. Maybe there might be a shortage in quality. Maybe there might be it might not be as per the expected standard, but if it is doing good for the larger good, definitely I'll go ahead with this. So I can share some of the few research articles which I have used in my discussion part. Maybe in the coming sessions, I'll just share the link of that too. And in live sessions, if you come again in the next live session, I can always give you the link towards that. Okay, so that would be the answer to that. I have a question now. I majorly get stuck in showcasing the effectiveness of behavioral
Hi.
training.
Yeah, this is Imali, and I have put the question in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I
how do
think
I approach
what
this?
Syed,
Yeah, please.
what shared the same thing, and almost most of the points you have covered, but this is where every one of us, every professional of learning and development gets, I think, stuck. That how do we show that some of the behavioral training will have the impact, and by the time the impact is ready to be measured, it sometimes so happens that we have a lot of people who leave the organization, and that is where we get stuck as to how do I justify. I mean, I know the training definitely will have that value, but how do I justify to the board that look, this is what it is, and sometimes I will not have that control, because I don't have control on the um, on the people churning out of the organization. So that is my major challenge which I normally face, Professor.
Okay. Okay. So what I can think of at this point in time is you have completed module 2. So you, when it comes to you, use the Kirkpatrick model. Focus
Yes.
on the level 3 and level 4 specifically. So
Yes.
link the training to observable behaviors before even designing it. So let's say I can see that this particular, training program can have a change in, let's say we are looking into some soft skill training or personality development training or something, or a leadership skills training. So can it have a total change that can be, what we see as an expected outcome, then link that training to the observable behaviors and go ahead with that. That is the first and the foremost suggestion I will give you. Apply the behavior measurement method, desired outcome. We call it as a BMO framework. So when you have a behavior, try to measure that, and desired outcome has to be seen. So here, if you look into the behavioral school of thought, the determinants of your behavior lie outside the environment. So you look into those aspects, try to have an understanding of the behavior, try to look into what measurement you are actually trying to do it, and always have an understanding of the expected outcome. So for this, you need to use data, you need to use metrics, you need to use, audit scores, your feedback ratings. All these aspects can be typically, used while you are looking into this outcome part. So have a pre-post training measure with respect to your effectiveness part. So many a time what we see is, let's say people are successful in doing a post training analysis, but what is a comparative scale? Let's say you had a certain level of, approach, or you had a certain level of ambition to change the behavior, or some behavioral outcome has to be there, change in that or improvement in that. That plus what you have achieved after that, positive or negative, whatever is that delta, that will give you whether you have actually, made some change or made some improvement. So try to follow this BMO format: behavior, measurement, and the desired outcome. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So this is what will give you a clear idea of your, how you want to go ahead with the process. So I hope, what I think of Himali, this is what Himali has gone to, right? So this is what I specifically think, but strongly focus your pitch in data. So use the metrics, use the feedback ratings, use the audit scores, have some people just as observers, as observer ratings. All these aspects can typically be taken up. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And of course, with regards to the course, of course, it is to the point. It is, I mean, the videos are apt. So definitely, I have completed 2 weeks. I'll be starting the third because I know the deadline, and would definitely start and complete the entire piece. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Happy to know that. So I have a question now from YouTube. It's my humble urge to incorporate 6 to 12 months course or even PG course so that it can be professionally accepted by HR department. So typically the NPTEL format is in such a way that you have, this 8, 10, 12 weeks courses. So typically the 10, 20, 30 hour module. So most of the 30-hour module thing actually has a 6 credit equivalency or more than that. So typically, Abhay Kumar, you can always think about that, but then, we have the time limitation with respect to the course. That is why we cannot go more than that. So I think it is now, if there are any more questions, I'm happy to take 1 or 2 more. Or else, thank you for joining with me today. It has been till now a wonderful learning experience for me also. We have done a couple of courses. This is the 4th course in my in the NPTEL platform. One which is running parallelly is the labor welfare and industrial relations. Then in the next semester you have AI in HRM and the organizational behavior course. So I really cherish the moments, specifically the one that we do it in live session, because this is where actually I get to interact with people. The other one is, for me at least, quite dull. I just talk to a video, and that's not the format personally I would prefer. But then again, limitations of the system, this is where I try to make it up with. So this is, the learning and development has been a thought that came to my mind specifically as a vertical. Many a time organizations take it very lightly. So please do understand, as I already mentioned in the beginning, and that will be the underlying thought for today's discussion, that there should be always a growth mindset. Try to expand your awareness, and you are not defeated until you stop trying. So this should be the motto which you should actually live by that. Sai, do you have a doubt? I see.
Yes, you have mentioned your course AI in HRM a couple of times. I previously enrolled in the last semester, but because my Google was deleted due to some reasons, so I was dropped from that course midway. But right now, when I'm searching in the portal, it's not visible. So is that
it will come in the month of January now. So it's semester-wise course. So next, intake, definitely there'll be a rerun of that particular course. So it will start somewhere in January, 2nd, 3rd week.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yeah. So thank you, everyone. I would like to conclude this session. Happy to see that you are all enjoying the session. And as I mentioned, unless and until we stop trying, we are not defeated. So we go by that, we live by that. Thank you for listening to me patiently. See you all in the next live session. Till then, have a good learning experience.